Where can you get your fix of ethnic stereotypes, oversized meatballs, and fighting? Perhaps the latest episode of the Jersey Shore? Well, maybe, but I'm talking about Super Punch-Out for the Super NES. Put your boxing gloves on and step up to the challenge. So what's the story here? The story is there is no story. Do you really need one for a Punch-Out game? You're a journeyman boxer trying to move up the ranks of the Nintendo Video Boxing Association. Super Punch-Out has you plowing through 16 opponents to become the undisputed champion. If you're familiar with the NES version, you'll notice the absence of Mike Tyson, Mario, Little Mac, and Doc Lewis. Yet even without these iconic characters, this game still stands as a great addition to the pantheon of Punch-Out games. The controls are fairly intuitive and simplistic. This is great because the game demands quick reflexes to master it. I have no complaints with the controls. They are simple and responsive, and if you don't like the control setup, you can modify it. Super Punch-Out plays fast and furious, like an arcade game. This makes sense because this franchise has its origins in the arcade. All the fighters telegraph their power moves. The key to success is memorizing your opponent's movements and mannerisms. For instance, when Aaron Ryan steps back to the opposite end of the ring, he's going to do his body punch, head punch combo flurry. Another example is when Super Macho Man does a little stomp dance in front of you. This means he's about to perform his mini Super Hurricane Punch. Recognizing cues like these will help prevent you from getting knocked out. Speaking of Super Macho Man, if you played the NES version, you'll be happy to know he has returned to the game along with Mr. Sandman and Bald Bull. Consequently, I wish Piston Honda was able to make the roster too, but you can't have everything. When the power meter reaches its max, you can perform a devastating power punch. And you'll need this special move to make your odds of being the champ more likely. As the match goes along, there will come a time when your gloves start flashing. When this happens, you can punch at a faster rate, and your power punches can do more damage. The use of this power punch adds to the fun factor. Once you master a certain opponent, the replayability comes in how fast you can knock the other guy out. The power punches contribute to how quickly you can dispatch opponents. Then it becomes a fun strategy to figure out when it's the right time to use the power punch. Imagine my surprise when I knocked down Rich Bruiser with a power punch to the head during the middle of one of his special moves. He nearly had a full life bar left. There are 4 modes in Super Punch-Out, with Championship mode being the main part of the game. Time Attack mode allows you to select any fighter you pick in Championship mode, and the point is to beat your opponent as quickly as you can. Records mode allows you to see the fastest knockout time records and points records for the different opponents. Lastly, the Buttons mode allows for customization of the control setup. I wish the options were more varied. For example, I would have loved the mode where you could fight the opposition in a different order. The graphics were well done in this game. Your opponents are large and detailed. The facial expressions of your enemies really make the game come to life. Whether they're wincing in pain from your punches or mocking you after they've knocked you out, the opponent animations are the showcase of the graphics department. The fighter you play as is also rather large and fleshed out when you see him. He becomes transparent when the fighting commences. Being able to see through your fighter was a smart idea, since if he appeared solid during the pugilistic contest, he would actually partially block the view of the opponent. Other minor details like the floor drawings in the ring, distinct crowd faces, and cameras flashing really make the graphics pop. The sounds associated with Super Punch-Out add ambiance to the playing experience. Some of the opponent introduction tunes are really catchy, like Bob Charlie's and Narcissus Prince's. The battle music is different for each of the 4 circuits. They're all alike in the sense that all of them pump you up for the fight. Come to think of it, The battle themes will make good jogging music. I like the fact that your opponents make sounds when you hit them, or when they are taunting you. Effects when a punch connects sound crisp, accurate, and painful. When you win a battle, your fighter turns around to look at you and says one of three things: piece of cake, got him, or too close. The announcer says your opponent's name before the fight, counts knockdowns, and declares knockouts. In fact, he sounds like an authentic boxing loudspeaker announcer. There are also crowd noises, the ring bell, and stomp sounds of some of your opponents to flesh out the sound effect detail. My final thoughts are this: I can't find many faults with Super Punch-Out. It is what a video game is supposed to be: fun. Some annoyances are the lean amount of mode options to choose from, no jogging sequence or something similar like in the NES version, and while the game offers some challenge, it isn't quite as difficult as the original Nintendo version. Although not being quite as tough as Mike Tyson's Punch-Out may be a positive for some. There is no difficulty setting. There's a save feature, which means you don't have to beat the game in one sitting, and it saves your knockout and scoring records. All told, this is a great title, and I recommend to boxing fans, and if you like any of the other Punch-Out incarnations. If you've never played a Punch-Out game, I suggest trying it. You do have to have quick reflexes though. If you don't, the game will train you to have quick reflexes. It's an excellent game. You can read the full review at playingwithsuperpower.com. Until next time.